here in the Alpine area, it's quite unique.
So it just helps stretch out their legs before we start.
So I'm at Snowy Mountains. I finally got in here. It's pretty easy to get here. It was so I arrived at Sydney Airport, jumped on an immediate plane after that to Canberra, drove for 2 hours, and here I am. And last night was a windy, very stormy kind of evening, but today the weather's fantastic. We're going to do a bunch of things. We're going to do some tracking. We're going to check out some normal stuff that people do here, and perhaps we'll try to do some abnormal stuff as well, hopefully. Stay with us, and hopefully you'll get to enjoy some of the sights that we do.
No, the roads are open all of the time. We're only here around 900 metres, so even though we get snowfalls during the winter, it doesn't necessarily get many snowfalls down here very often. If it does, it may only be for 3 or 4 days, because you've only got to get a couple of nice lovely days like we typically get, and the snow will melt off fairly quickly because of the lack of elevation.
Now, just on that left-hand side, a few kangaroos.
Winter's the very busy period. It's probably still the case that for the 4 months of winter, tourism's probably still 70% of the business here. Even though we're developing lots of other activities and things like that, it's still the events and the Christmas and Easter period when we get busy again. So it is still a little bit seasonal, but hopefully that's what we're making inroads with now. There's lots of things, the lake's starting to get a lot more use now, which is great because with fishing, it's been a mainstay of all of that, but the sailing club's building. We get a lot of rowing teams now. We get quite a few of the international rowers, and certainly a lot of schools come down to train, because it's one of those places where, early in the morning, as you would have seen this morning, without a lot of wind on it and everything, it's quite spectacular, and you can go about 12 kilometres from this end of the lake to the far end. So that's pretty spectacular to go out and row those sort of distances on a freshwater lake. There's quite an array of those, and they were built for mining. Some were built by the guys that were out there with cattle and sheep and shepherding those in the summer pastures. And then there was a whole series of them that were built back from the late 1900s, and they extended all the way from Kyandra back across to here. And they were designed to offer safety and shelter. So it was a mix of the cattlemen's huts through to ones that were put in to enable people to travel safely from one end of the mountains to here. Yeah, so the Lake Jindabyne, Lake Yukonbean, they were set up through the 50s to create power, and so the dams were started through the 1950s to provide hydroelectricity, and they extend all the way through the mountain area. Amazing feats of really unique sort of, given the terrain. They provided new power sources and as well as recreation, and they created an opportunity for people to move into the area. And it was really through those 1950s and 60s when we had immigration and people moved here from Scandinavia and Europe, and once they came to the mountains, that also was a real spur for the snow sport industry here as well. So you know, the communities were able to develop far more, and places like Jindabyne really built on that, as well as Cooma. Cooma was a real hub for the growth of those communities. But places like Jindabyne, it saw the establishment of the whole snow sport industry here, and especially here in the mountains. We've got an amazing range of people here with really different experiences, and they've brought a whole feel to the community that are really unique.
We'll take a short break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll bring you more of snowy mountains at New South Wales, Australia. Welcome back. I'm at Snowy Mountains in New South Wales, Australia, and specifically I'm at Lake Krakenbach Resort and Spa here. Behind me it's just heavy snow this morning, and I'm supposed to go horseback riding. I'm not too sure whether that thing is still on, but having said that, there are still plenty of things that we can do, particularly on outdoor adventure. Here's my conversation with Bruce.
So we're going to actually come up on the chairlift. It takes us about 15 minutes to come up, and we leave the village and come up to 1800 metres to the top of Eagle's Nest, and where the chair allows you to get off, and then we can either go inside and have a nice hot chocolate, nice lunch, or we can continue and walk on our way out into the mountains and explore and have an adventure. So when the chairlift's working in the winter time, you basically ride up. It still takes 15 minutes or thereabouts to come up. Depends on the wind and things like that. And then you basically ski directly off and then ski either around onto one of the lifts in the basin or across into other areas on the mountain. In the summertime, most people just come up and then they'll follow the walking trail either down to Dead Horse Gap or out towards Kosciuszko. Yeah, no, it's a great adventure for families and things. There's no trouble to bring babies up on the chairs and things like that.
The lift staff are very well informed, and it's a nice, safe opportunity to travel into a place that not everyone has been to. Yeah, in the summertime, what they do is they have a different arrangement with the chairs, and they can hook the bikes up onto the chairs and then come all the way up onto the top here and then meet up with where the trails are and then explore down. So there are different lifts and different areas here that suit every different level and different standard, from a first-time beginner, which is where they would use Friday flat, and then you can use merits, which is more intermediate, and then you come across into these areas up here at the top of the Kosciuszko Express, where you can get into a whole range of terrain and then also explore into the backcountry. We start generally skiing here from the June period early, and then we can ski all the way through into October and even November, but the official season is the start of October, and we can continue skiing in the backcountry then all the way off and into November. Yeah, there's a variety of experiences. A lot of the people who come down in winter, not all of them ski, so now they're starting to look at other things. Cross-country skiing and snowshoeing are becoming a little more popular. That's based on trail running and people's interest in fitness and walking. And now as we get a bit more variety with the trails, it offers other opportunities there. We've also got a number of wineries and wild brumby snaps. And the food sort of offering here, as you would have seen at Lake Krakenbach, you know, those sort of things are giving people different opportunities with cooking schools and lessons. So I guess one of the other main things is that for a lot of people in the city, they can come down here and experience a more remote sort of thing, whether they drive or they actually do go and walk and have something a little bit more of an active experience. The thing, you know, just coming down here and seeing the vistas, anyone from the city that experiences the crowds, they can sort of see these expansive views and it feels a lot more remote. And of course, just with the weather, you know, we get lovely still weather. It's nice and cool, so it's a very alpine experience, especially for people who travel internationally as well. We do get quite a lot of people coming in from such places as Hong Kong, Singapore, the growth of Chinese visitors as well. A lot of the people who come down in winter, not all of them ski, so now they're starting to look at other things. Cross-country skiing and snowshoeing are becoming a little more popular. That's based on trail running and people's interest in fitness and walking. And now as we get a bit more variety with the trails, it offers other opportunities there. We've also got a number of wineries and wild brumby snaps. And the food sort of offering here, as you would have seen at Lake Krakenbach, you know, those sort of things are giving people different opportunities with cooking schools and lessons. So I guess one of the other main things is that for a lot of people in the city, they can come down here and experience a more remote sort of thing, whether they drive or they actually do go and walk. and have something a little bit more of an active experience. The thing, you know, just coming down here and seeing the vistas, anyone from the city that experiences the crowds, they can sort of see these expansive views and it feels a lot more remote. And of course, just with the weather, you know, we get lovely still weather. It's nice and cool, so it's a very alpine experience, especially for people who travel internationally as well. We do get quite a lot of people coming in from such places as Hong Kong, Singapore, the growth of Chinese visitors as well.
Snowy Mountains have pretty high mountain ranges. In fact, Mount Kosciuszko is one of the tallest, if not the tallest mountain in Australia. There's a lot of skiing here that can be done. There's a lot of snowboarding as well. We're pretty early in the winter season, so we're kind of missing out the snow, but they've also made man-made snows to supplement the kind of snow that might not be falling down just yet. So here we are at Mount Kosciuszko at Snowy Mountains, the highest peak in Australia. Australia is known for many things, but not many people know about the alpine weather that it has. In fact, not many people know that they are big on snow sports or winter sports. And right now I'm in Snowy Mountains in New South Wales to experience the alpine aspect of Australia. Stick with me on this show. Snowy Mountains is not known just for its winter holidays. There's also an opportunity for you to enjoy horse riding facilities there. At Thredbo Valey Horse Riding, I spoke with the co-founder, Linda BARRASS, and her staff on what it takes for us to enjoy horse riding there.
So it's Thredbo Valley Horse Riding at Pendaloo Chalets. I've been here for 8 years, but my husband's been here for about 20 years. So we operate the horse riding school. During those 20 years, we've gone from strength to strength. When he first started, he may have had 15 horses. Now we own 70 horses, which is a lot of horses to feed, especially if in times of drought where there's not much grass. They're affectionately known as the kids. They're all our kids, so they all have a big personality. We encourage their personality. Some are a bit cheekier than others, but they all have a personality that we all love, and often we get a lot of return clientele going, "Can I please ride this one again? I loved him." But yeah, they're known as the kids, and they're pretty much, they're our family, they're our herd.
Let's talk about some of the things that we can do during the summer.
Yeah, during the summer. So as a horse riding, we do operate all year round. It is weather dependent. In summer, it is lovely because we have those beautiful hot days, but they're not as hot as some other places like Sydney. So it's still beautiful and warm. We do 1 hour, 1.5 hour and 2 hour rides, and they're all bush riding. So we have 2,800 acres that we can ride on. So that's a lot of land, and it's all bush riding. The tracks range from small skinny tracks to large four-wheel drive tracks up and down these beautiful mountains. And even though it looks completely bush, once you go through the bush, what you'll find is at the top of some of these mountains, there's beautiful grassy plains and lookouts. So it's pretty spectacular up there.
Thredbo Valley horse riding was established in 1993. It has gone from strength to strength and is regarded as a premier horse riding destination for adults and children. And from beginners to advanced, everybody can enjoy a ride there. They provide even a simple pony ride for kids through to longer rides for the more adventurous travelers. The riding area is on a 2,800 acres of subalpine wilderness, and they supply only original Australian stock saddles exclusively. Other things like introductory lessons as well as helmets are all provided. So let's talk about the Brumbies.
Yeah, so the Brumbies are a wild horse. They are in the snowy mountains. As with any livestock, you've got to control the numbers. So the national parks do programs where they do capture the Brumbies, and majority of the Brumbies do go to adoption agencies. And then we'll adopt any of the young boys and train them up. The Brumbies are very good, they're amazing, incredible animals. They're very tough and hardy. They've got the good, strong Australian spirit that makes them really tough. They're perfect for these conditions in snow because they live in the mountains normally, so they're used to snow and they're really good on their feet. They are amazing at what they do, as in the Brumbies have a pretty hard life in the bush, so they have to deal with weather, trying to find food. They get kicked out of the herd. So once we get them, they end up being really big sooks because all they have to do is a little bit of work, and they get fed, they get loved, and they get to stay in their herd. Whereas out in the real world, in the wild, they get kicked out of the herd because if it's a young male, the stallion doesn't want to be overthrown, so the young males get kicked out of the family. They're not allowed. They get kicked out, and they have to go find their own herd. So when they're here, they all get along pretty well. Like I say, they're just used to snow, rain, wind, and they survive very well in it.
Getting the hang of it, I think.
Well done, well done. You hold us back.
Australia is known for many things, but skiing and snowboarding isn't one of them. But having been to snowy mountains and having seen with myself the adventure wonderland that is brimming with fun experiences, from thrilling downhill runs in pristine snow to music festivals, it is going to be quite hard for us to ignore the magnificence of these snowy mountains. The areas at this place, including Parrasher, which is the Southern Hemisphere's largest snow resort, to Thredbo, which is home to Australia's longest ski runs, as well as to Charlotte Pass, the highest snow resort in Australia. Everything comes with a unique experience here. My time here is always going to be remembered because snowy mountains is one experience that is going to be difficult to forget.
Snowy Mountains is not just about winter sports and winter activities. Because it's in an alpine climate, you can actually enjoy different type of experiences depending on the seasons that you come. In the summer, we'll bring you different experiences, in the winter as well. Of course, spring and autumn also brings about different experiences. So it really depends on the kind of activities that you want to do. In the summer, there's a lot of hiking, a lot of trails that you can follow, kilometers upon kilometers along the riverways, along the mountain trails, and many others. Of all this, of course, it just underlines the fact that Snowy Mountain is the kind of thing that you want to do with your loved one, with your partner, or with your family if you enjoy outdoor activities. And indeed, I have enjoyed my part and my share of this bit of this particular holiday.